Jim Allister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we talk about national insurance, it's easy to forget that it's only one part of the tax burden faced upon employers. But within the matrix of tax, the reach of national insurance that has been delivered by this change is truly quite shocking. And that is particularly so in the reduction of the threshold to £5,000. That means there's not a single person, I suspect, who goes to a part-time job who now their employer will not be paying 15% national insurance, which makes the viability of that job, before you even come to the viability of the business that they're working to, it makes it questionable. To reduce the threshold by that amount is the most punitive part, I think, of this measure. And it's not even tempered as it could have been by having a phased reduction so that you didn't pay 15%, you paid a lesser amount, like 5%, if you were reducing the threshold to £5,000. And that is, as I say, excessively punitive and will hit many small businesses in everyone's constituency, including mine. I think of small businesses throughout North Antrim who employ 6, 7, 8, 10 people who maybe stretch to take on an extra worker. They'll not be stretching anymore. They'll be stretching the other way, because the consequence of that is putting them over the edge in terms of what is affordable. But it's not just small businesses. It's a vast swathe of a critical factor of, that keeps our society in operation. Our community and voluntary sector are going to be amongst those most cruelly affected by this. And particularly those who are often doing the job of government, delivering services in our community. They are going to bear it unabated by any assistance such as the public sector will have. I was interested to receive and to read the report from the Northern Ireland Council for Voluntary Action. And they are very clear that whereas the public sector organisations will have their budgets on this aspect reimbursed, voluntary and community sectors, organisations that will not have the same protection, they will have to absorb the budget increase. And yet those, as I've said, are many of the voluntary and community sectors who are delivering services on behalf of government. So the public sector gets matters ameliorated for them, but those who are delivering services for government in the voluntary and community sector will not. That will not just have an effect on those organisations, but on the services they deliver, and therefore upon all our constituents to whom those services are delivered. And when you ally that with the fact that at the same time along comes the increase in the living wage, then you have that double whammy of 15% on your national insurance and the increase in living wage. So the two together are the very thing which are going to produce a very negative outcome. And another sector, the hospitality sector in my constituency, has drawn attention to the fact that they, who already run on relatively small margins, who employ a lot of part-time people, who are now going to fall within the ambit of employers' national insurance, are going to find that, along with the living wage increase, is going to impose a huge burden. Their organisation has suggested, with the living wage increases and with the national insurance increases, it's going to add £2,500 a year for every employee. Now, what business, in current circumstances, can simply shrug that off and carry on unaffected? Very few indeed. So the consequences are going to be very substantial, and they're going to be those which affect many small businesses, be it the butchers in our high street, our community services provided by voluntary organisations, our doctors, our dentists. Our dentists are already under huge pressure, many of them giving up National Health Service provision. Why? Because they can't make ends meet. And then government comes along and puts this burden upon them. So I do say to the government, yes, you have the numbers, which means you can close your ears to all of this. You can impose this if you will, but in imposing it, you will do irreparable damage to those you say you care about. And this is a wake-up moment. If the government cares about ordinary people, because it's ordinary people whose jobs are going to be lost, if the government truly cares about ordinary people who are going to be affected by this, and about ordinary businesses which are not rolling in riches but are making ends meet, then this is an issue that the government needs to find a way to readdress and bring back some viability going forward for those businesses.